And we are back here on the Y'all Show talking all about the South. And we've got our expert on Music Row who's set to join us right now to talk about what all's going on in Nashville, Tennessee. And that expert would be one Preshias Harris. Precious, welcome into the Y'all Show. How are you, Miss Precious?
I'm actually doing really good today, and if you hear some noise in the back, uh, that's actually the rain coming down pretty hard. So we need it. So it is.
Catching you in the middle of a storm, huh?
Yes.
There's a storm in the heartland. That's a pretty good Billy Ray Cyrus from about 1992, 1993. You remember that one?
Oh yeah.
All right.
Everybody
Hey,
loves Billy.
yeah, yes, we do. Want to remind everybody we are talking with Preshias Harris on Music Row in Nashville, and this is the show called Y'all, where we cover everything in country music. And Preshias Harris is a music career development consultant. You can go to her website, NashvilleMusicLine.com, to learn more about how she helps those on Music Row achieve their goals of being a singer or a songwriter. Also, you can find Preshias and I Know Country. That's got 366 daily country music trivia questions. IKnowCountry.com is where you can go get your ebook copy of that. And that is a great way to pass the time here during the coronavirus. Precious, catching up with you now on Music Row from your office there on the Music Row area. It's got Chet Atkins Place and more. Want to talk to you about what all's been going on. Of course, we always start out with an update from a coronavirus standpoint. What's happened in the last few days in terms of that on Music Row?
Uh, Over the weekend, they had a. We know we have a new police chief.
Didn't know that.
Yes, and he has really made it mandate for people to wear masks. And there was a couple of arrests for people that thought that if you had it down here below your chin that you had it on, but didn't realize that droplets can go from your nose, your mouth, and out. So, and his wife, could make him do it. So they ended up just arresting him. But I hate that. But until we get a vaccine, there's really not a lot we can do but just wear a mask.
And what's the latest on the whole Kid Rock having his club open and lawsuits and more? What's going on with that?
Well, I know there's been a couple more establishments join it. Um, I think the one of the under rumbles is going on is a lot of the small shops like coffee and things like little restaurants in East Nashville have been practicing the social distancing since we started opening up in June, and they maintain 6 to 8 feet in the dining area. All their employees wear a mask. Excessive hand washing, things like that. Well, uh, there's then you got Kid Rock, who has a lot of people in his club and musicians and tourists are there. But the off beaten path restaurants in East Nashville where they make it easier to practice the social distancing and things, they got penalized too. And so that's the if, what, and where on that. And then the other thing is the pedal tavern, which is where people get on the back of a tavern and drink lots of beer and sit a foot apart from each other. Those are still running, and this is why that they feel like that, freaking frack, make a decision. If you're going to make everybody wear a mask, then we need to mandate all the things, even though they're not in an establishment, they're outside. They're still not practicing social distancing because it's sort of hard to do when the seats are equally done on the pedal tavern. But I'll just be glad when things get back to semi-normal. Right now, it's not even near it. From what I understand, we've still got the Country Music Hall of Fame is closed, I think, until the end of August. Um, it was supposed to be open to the July 31st, but I think they went ahead and continued it to August 31st. And then some of the schools where I'm from in Kentucky, they're staying closed until September the 8th and 9th. But see, years ago, school started in September because I remember my friends having to help their parents get the crops in. So starting Labor Day is really not that different from 40 years ago, but everybody got used to coming in school, got a little later. Labor Day, we go back after Labor Day. Then it got back the last week in August. Ooh, then we got the third week and now second week and now first week. So I remember last year, I think all the kids went to school August 6th so they could get out in the middle of May. But one of my clients is a teacher here in one of the counties, Pittman County, and he said they're postponed until the end of August. Just try to get it cleared up, and get back on track. It is, um, I'm hoping that we can just stick through it. I just feel like, if wearing a mask will help us slow this sucker down because we have no other choice, then wear a mask. It's sort of like wearing a safety belt. If you don't want to do it for yourself, just do it for someone else. And that's the biggest thing, you know.
Yeah, a lot of bad news out there. When is Anne Murray? Where is she when you need her with a little good news? Her classic hit from the early '80s, I think it was.
I actually asked my client to do that on Facebook Live. Sorry, I've got my hair sticking up in the back, and you can't see it. Look at me on camera. That's okay. You don't mind if I'm alfalfa,
You,
but
you just make yourself at home. But speaking of good news, Preshias Harris, I got a incredible email in my inbox last week with some great news, and that great news is "Fool's Love Affair." That is a new single from Randy Travis. Randy Travis, who had a stroke years ago, but they found this lost recording and they put it out now. Tell me more about Fool's Love Affair.
okay. Well, this is his first single since 2013. Uh, but anyway, Travis, it's the biggest thing is this is exactly 35 years from his anniversary. Let me make sure of which song. On the other hand, yeah, on the other hand, and it was actually written by a songwriter named Keith Stegall, who also produces Alan Jackson, and of course they call him the mayor of Nashville. His name is Charlie Monk, and then there was another writer, Milton Brown, and they've had it forever in the archives, and they pulled it out and it sounded so good that they're like, why not release this? Because I know that Randy and his wife has been really supporting everything during the pandemic, from songwriters to musicians to animal shelters, food banks. They've been doing literally overtime. But anyway, the kids, I mean, my kids love Randy Travis, and for him having a new single out, that when it first came out on the news, they were calling me and said, "Mama P, did you know Randy Travis has got a new single out?" And I went, "Yes." And I said, I met Randy like many years ago. They go, "When?" And I said, "When he was cooking at the Nashville Palace as a cook." They go, "What?" I said, "Yeah." And they called him out of the kitchen to sing a song. And when he did, the very classic country. And I thought, the guy needs to get out of the kitchen and on stage. But I remember thinking, he's going to be a star. And of course, his real name is Randy Trawick. But he ended up not too long after that, I guess, because the industry comes there and would eat regularly. So he, uh, he got the eyes of a Warner Brother executive, and they went ahead and signed him. So he's been with Warner Brothers forever, like since '84. So
Or was it
like
1982?
82, 82.
I'm
Well,
kidding. That's one of his old songs. But a
yeah, but I
great.
remember my mom taking me down to get my head. She goes, "You need to learn about country music. All you want to do is rock and roll. You need to be in country music." So I'm like, "Okay, whatever. I'll do it for you."
Yeah,
So good memories.
good memories. A lot of people have great memories of Randy Travis music and a wonderful find. We wish him all the best on this new single. And it's always good to have a country great with new music out there. Even though this was recorded many years ago, it's being released now in a fun song and fun to see where this goes on the chart. Speaking of new music and an artist that we haven't heard all too much in the last couple of years, she had I think the Chris Young. She teamed up with Chris Young. Cassadee Pope is making new music in the midst of the pandemic. What more can you tell us about the Florida-based singer?
Well, she was the first female voice in 2012 to win that, and she was on Team Blake. So Blake actually became a big cheerleader for her when she got her deal. Um, but everybody having to self isolate and social media and things like that. She's actually took this time to really work on, because she is a songwriter already, but she's really taken time to start working on some different things for the way where she's been and also for where she wants to be in her career. So it's a full acoustic record, and she produced it and wrote all the songs. So I'm excited to hear it. So only there's a I think one of my favorite things about her is that with or without a band, she sounds amazing. So her with acoustic, you really get to hear her true voice and the lyrics come through, and that's probably my favorite thing about this record. Is that
And
it's
I was
just
right on her teaming up with Chris Young a couple of years ago, right? They had a pretty big song.
It is, and I will. This is how long ago I was at the #1 party, and they held it at the Country Music Hall of Fame, and they had little mini cupcakes with little mini vinyl records on top, and of course we had several left over. So I was walking out the door, and they go, "Do you want a cupcake?" And I went, "Yes." And I still got
Of
my
course
cupcake.
you want a cupcake.
I know.
How about that? Hey, how about Ashley Gorley? That's your songwriting powerhouse friend, and he's got his 50th #1 song, courtesy of Low Cash's chart topper, One Big Country Song.
Yes, I know I brag a lot, but it, he's got. He's not the only. He just isn't the only first songwriter in the country genre to have 50 #1s. He is the first songwriter in any genre ever. I'm talking rap, hip hop, blues, around the globe to have 50 #1s as a songwriter. So it's a really really wonderful accolade for him. I have been before the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame got into uh, some issues. Um, and they had to get rid of their executive director and hire somebody new and get reestablished and do some things. We were actually in talks with them, me and my friend, to try to get him to have his place in the Kentucky Music Hall of Fame. You know, he's a Danville native, and his dad and mom, Glenn and Sandy, are just the sweetest people. And but I think it would be wonderful for him to be able to be in there before something happens. And because I know that his mother's been really sick, but I just, he's just such a talent. And I have to brag. I mean, I've been at #1 parties. I was at for Chris Lane, and then I was at for Thomas Rhett. I'm going to sneeze. Hang on. That's what I get putting pepper on my eggs.
Breaking news here on the Y'all Show. We capture those sneezes right there. We're right there grabbing those sneezes.
I can't say I'm allergic to you because we're not in the same room, so I can't use that excuse.
No, no, no. I put on some fancy perfume here today too that would probably make you sneeze big time. Just kidding. I'm more of an aftershave kind of guy. But
You're my
Ashley
dad.
Gorley, he's got
Yeah.
some fancy perfume. If he does it, he ought to have some with all the hits. He's had 50 #1 songs.
It's and you're if there is a place. I think on his website how they got up here, but to even fathom that kind of career, and he's not old. He's like 40, maybe 40ish.
Oh, that's
Uh,
old.
that's so old to me. He could. I mean, this. Well, in Kentucky, he could be my great grandson. No, just kidding. Um, but he could be my son. I mean, in Kentucky, because I'm 58 and he's maybe 40, so 18. Yeah, that's about right. But I'm very proud of him. And I had his mom, and behind my computer, you can't see it, but I made little snowmen with little buttons on them, and I got one that said UK hat on it, and then the scarf, and it's got blonde hair down the side, and that's his mom. She's blonde, so I gave her one, and then I gave Mr. Glenn, his daddy, a male one of the little snowballs or socks that look like little snowmen, and they got
Mm-hmm.
like a UK scarf because they are. I thought I was a big blue fan. Oh Lord, he's worse than I am.
I'll
Yeah.
tell you who's a big Georgia Bulldog fan. That's Luke Bryan. And Luke Bryan's got a new song, Born Here, Live Here, and Die Here. What can you tell us about this latest song from LB, the Georgia kid?
Well, the video, if you get to see the video, it's shot at his hometown, and at first, when the interview I heard with him today, he goes he felt sort of guilty because he's had to leave this place that what he talks about in this record to be in Nashville, even though that he knows that this is where his heart will be forever. But to chase your dreams, sometimes you got to be outside of the field instead of, down the road a bit. But last year he was some of the stuff you can tell, like when they had the back shots of the camera, him stepping out in front of the field full of like 40,000 people, that he kept it. But Luke's always he was actually he had a #1 song before he was ever an artist as a songwriter. Good Directions for Billy Currington.
Hmm.
So I met him as a songwriter before an artist. And I have a friend of mine that booked him when he was in college. And anyway, and he was opening up for a country act. And he wanted to play his new songs at his hometown. He kept saying, "Miss, will you please let me please let me open up for somebody. And he was, of course, down there at Georgia Southern in college. He goes, okay, you can open up for blank blank. Okay. And he went over 30 seconds. And the country artist, okay, walked over and was going to unplug his mic. And she said, if you unplug his mic, you're not going to get the rest of your artist. Okay. And so anyway, so when he came off stage, he went to the kid, which is Luke Bryan. Luke Bryan went up to my friend and he said, Miss Judy, I don't ever want to open up for him again. And right now, if you knew who it was, you would say, oh, honey, you won't have to.
Who was it? Come on.
I can't tell.
Come on now.
I can't.
It's just the two of us.
Oh, yeah, but I can't.
You talked about Luke Bryan. This is going to bother me. I'm gonna cheat here. I'm not going to Google. I'm going to Google Maps. I'm not going to Wikipedia, I should say, and answer this question. But about last year this time, before all the craziness of what's called the pandemic started, I had to drive all the way to Daytona Beach, Florida, and I decided to take some back roads, Precious, and I went through from Columbus, Georgia to Albany, Georgia, which is Luke Bryan country.
Yes.
And one of those small towns I went through claimed to be his hometown, and I'm going to say it was Sasser. I apologize, Luke, if I'm wrong, but Sasser is just to the northwest of Albany, Paula Dean's hometown, by the way. And I think somewhere right in that area is where Luke Bryan's technically from. I do know that I had a great stop in that part of Georgia and had some good pecan. I had a pecan log while I was driving through that part of Georgia.
Oh, I do it every time. I wait till Mike's asleep, though, before I eat it. But I get me a big bag of Georgia peaches and a couple of pecan logs. That's my favorite thing. Look, sure it wasn't Leesville, Georgia?
You know, it could have been. I know they had a sign on the road. That's what caught my eye. It might have been Dawson, Sasser, one of those little small towns, but it wasn't Albany. But it was right before you got to Albany.
Because there is a Leesville, Louisiana, I'm thinking. Because, you know, I have a very small brain and a lot of information that sometimes peeks out and overflows. So Leesville sticks in my mind. And for some odd reason, with something to do with Trace Atkins or Tim McGraw as in Louisiana. And I used to know these by heart, but, you know.
Well, I had always heard he was from the Albany area, but wherever I went through had the sign. So enough on road signs. And but although it was a road sign or a road sign inspired song, Good Directions, the aforementioned Good Directions, Billy Currington made a hit written by Luke Bryan that got his kind of career going. Speaking of connections and good bloodlines, Preshias Harris, Allie Colleen, she's the daughter of one Garth Brooks and Sandy, his ex-wife. She's in the news for some of her music, but she's also been in the news a little bit because she had a bout with the coronavirus. What more can you tell us about that?
Well, you probably heard a few weeks back that Garth and Trisha had to cancel, you know, their Facebook Live show because of they had to social distance.
Mm-hmm.
So they didn't announce that they got it, but I think maybe because Allie lives very close to them, they may have come into contact, and just for precaution that they went ahead and did it, which is a good thing. I actually have one of my clients in Kentucky, haven't seen about 3 months, that she's got it, and it hit her like a brick, and she was fine one day and the next day she's not. So I'm hoping that she will recover pretty soon, because especially if you're a singer, you know, and but I'll call and check on her in a little bit. But Allie has actually got a couple of songs on her record, and one of them, and this is how music grows so tight, one of them was written with Melissa Boley, called The Road You Take. And Melissa and I have been friends for 15, 20 years here in town.
Precious, you've got God knows how many friends. Come on now. And but I'm one of them.
I know, but I mean, like, Melissa is really good about helping up-and-coming songwriters. So to see her name on that record, I was very excited. And then the other one that she talks about, a relationship with her best friend, was written by one of my former kids, who now has got another song on the charts right now at CDX. Her name's Dallas Remington, and she co-wrote Uncommon Man with my kid, Courtney. So it's pretty cool to see Dallas on there. And then she's The other two writers are independent writers, but Allie's made such a name for herself as a songwriter. Scott Barrier and then Cindy Lumbaugh. I think she's married to Torres. I think so, yeah. But anyway, I'm very excited to see Allie because I'm actually a big fan of Allie's as a songwriter. My dad thinks he's got too many tattoos, but I like it. I wish I had the guts to do it, but she does look good.
She's got them all over. We talked about Cassadee Pope. I think Cassie's had them on her arm, and that might be the only places that are visible, at least for that singer. But it's pretty common now. Your dad might want a reality check. Tattoos are kind of the norm for a lot of people.
I want one right here. Right here.
Okay.
It says, "I walk on faith and live by love." Or is it walk on faith and live on love?
You might want to get it figured out before you get it put on your arm. and you might want to check with Mike Reed. Mike Reed, singer-songwriter, might have a trademark on the Walk on Faith since that was one of his big songs.
It's so funny. One day I was coming in. I was super tired, and it was during CMA week last year. It was like 100 degrees. And I came in, and I stopped and got me a bottle of water because I knew I had to have it before I got home. And I get in the house, and I'm drinking my water. And my husband said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "I'm okay. I just need to decompose." He goes, "Don't you mean decompress?" And I go, "What's the difference?"
That's a good one.
"Yeah, you're too tired. You're too tired."
That is a good one. Hey, let's talk about some birthdays this week. Gene Watson, he celebrated a birthday. Also, Jennifer Hansen with a birthday earlier in the week. John Conley, rose-colored glasses with a birthday.
Kentucky boy.
Yeah, Kentucky boy, a former Undertaker. Yeah, he could have helped take care of you if you were decomposing. Also, Rachel Proctor with a birthday this week. How about this guy, the lead singer of Confederate Railroad, Danny Shirley, who turned, 64 this week. Danny Shirley. With a birthday also this week, Louisiana kid Andy Griggs. And this weekend, Connie Smith with a birthday. And I've got some big news from the Connie Smith, the family there of Connie Smith that I'm going to share with you in just a second. Also with a birthday this week, your neighbor, literally, she might even be on the other side of the wall there, Ashton Shepherd. She's going to be turning 34 this week. Have you seen Ashton Shepherd lately?
Actually, I saw her she was here just for a second, right about 2 months ago. But she's got some good songs coming out. She had been recording in Muscle Shoals. I don't know where, what they're going to do on that and where the timeline is to release it. But she did get a shout out at Billboard. And I thought that right there is pretty cool.
Yeah, she's so talented. She's so great. Ashton Shepherd, if you haven't seen some of the work she's done, Google her. She's got it there in iTunes Music and more. Dan from Dan and Shay also with a big birthday here this weekend. Now, rewinding back to Connie Smith, you might know that Connie Smith is married to one Marty Stuart. And Precious, it was just announced here in the last couple of hours, 3 new inductees to the Country Music Hall of Fame. Marty Stuart from Philadelphia, Mississippi, a new inductee into the Country Music Hall of Fame. Dillon, incredible songwriter, had so many great songs with George Strait, but he also was an artist of his own. And he was on Atlantic Records. You might remember that.
Yeah, remember I screwed up the media thing. And
I know. And finally, and a guy who's had a rough year, but he's in the Country Music Hall of Fame, Hank Williams Jr.
Wow.
What a cast.
Oh, yeah. That is a really good cast. I know, I wish they would add the category of, don't get me wrong, I'm a huge supporter of Country Music Hall of Fame. We're actually family members of the museum for our membership. But I wish they would have a special one for people that may have died at a little bit earlier age. Like I know that there's been a huge media burst, social media, to get Dottie West in there. And but I'm glad to see Marty Stuart. He definitely deserves it. And of course, Hank Williams Jr. I've had a couple. My husband was actually in one of his videos called Hotel Whiskey,
Yeah.
And then my other friend was in his video. But all my rowdy friends are coming over tonight. Shannon Combs was in that video, and so it's good to see him. And of course, Dean Dillon, him as a hit songwriter going in, is so deserving. Seriously. And I took a picture one day of Dean Dillon and Taylor Swift, and I can't. And it was at the National Songwriters Hall of Fame Awards, and she got up and coming new artists, and they had him for some, legendary songwriter, and then they had the artist. Was it Keith Urban? Either Keith Urban and Taylor Swift and Dean Dillon, I think. And I can't find that picture to save my life.
It might be there in the background somewhere. You got a lot of other stuff around there. You need to do some spring cleaning in the month of August. Speaking of Hank Williams,
9 o'clock last night.
Speaking of the Williams family, Precious, it was on this date back in 1952 that Bo Cephas's daddy, Hank Sr., was fired from the Grand Ole Opry for drunkenness and a bunch of no-shows.
Yeah.
Is Hank Williams Jr. a member of the Opry? I don't think he is, but you tell me. He's not a member, is he?
I don't think so.
Yeah, I didn't think he was.
Yeah, I do. Actually, I was researching about 3 months ago for a story I was doing, and I thought that he was a member of the Opry, but they stripped him of that once that he did that. So I remember, I'll have to double check, but I know that he did get one of his accolades stripped away because of the of the situation and his alcoholism.
Yeah.
Very sad, because I remember hearing his records, and I didn't even realize he was dead till I was 12 or 13. My grandmother played them. She had the vinyls, and she would play vinyls, and no one ever said he was dead. They act like he was alive, because I had no idea. So I get in the history books, and I'm like, wait, how come he's dead, but you listen to his records?
Yeah. Luke the Drifter was adrift, evidently, but good on your family there for playing some of his records. I got his records a little bit, but more Dolly Parton's played to influence my childhood, and it was on this day in 1989 that Dolly Parton had the #1 "Why'd You Come In Here Looking Like That" from her album White Limousine, and still one of my favorite songs to hear on the radio.
I know, and I remember she did it with a bunch of girls. I think Reba might have been with her in the video, if I'm not mistaken. And the guy coming in to look like this was back then Mr. Hotsy Potsy, Billy Ray Cyrus, if I remember right.
No, you're getting confused with Romeo.
Maybe Romeo. Was that Dolly Parton?
It had Mary Chapin Carpenter and Kathy Mattea.
Yes, okay.
Along with
anytime
Billy Ray.
I think, I've always been a fan of Billy Ray, and I remember meeting him at CRS which is Country Radio Seminar, in 1991. And his label was very smart. And Don Von Tross, who wrote Achy Breaky Heart, they actually took that and got someone to create a dance. And then they were actually promoting it to back then, Two-Stepping in Country Club was like huge. And there was a promotion company called Dixie Dance Kings, and which was a promotion, and they took 8-10 songs and sent them out to all the clubs, and the labels would pay a very small amount to be on the CD, and it basically took off. And that's why you got that. Everybody knows as soon as you hear Achy Breaky Heart, I think it's Electric Slide, but anyway, they do it. And I two-stepped. Well, I'm actually 3 or 4-step, because I fell off the dance floor, but it wasn't my fault. I can't skate and I can't dance.
Yeah. I will say, you probably have heard of this name. That video for "Why'd You Come In Here Looking Like That," it heavily features Dolly, of course, but the main male actor in that music video is a guy named Norm Waddell. Now, his name may not be that familiar, but his voice is extremely familiar, as he is probably the #1 voice talent in all of the country. He's done ads for, I know, GMC and Chevrolet, but you just look up his name and all the commercials he's done. In fact, back in that era when Norm was working in Nashville recording a lot of commercials in addition to some appearances on music videos, he, along with a guy named Dennis Stone, were the top two voice talents from Nashville. And now both of those guys are two of the top commercial guys and doing voiceover work across the entire country. You can Google that if you'd like. I think also Norm was in the music video for Fancy. He's the one that drove the taxi that Reba gets into the back of in that video. So taking you back a few years with some music video information. Wrapping up here with Preshias here. Brothers Osborne, you might want to know this. They're going to perform a live stream concert that's absolutely free. And that's going to be Let's Play Live. That's going to be next week on August 21st, starting at 7 p.m. Central Time. You can go to the website for them and find out how you can get linked to this ACM Lifting Lives COVID-19 Response Fund benefit. Again, Brothers Osborne with a free concert that you can check out on the 21st.
I love them. They're so good.
And Preshias, I've been hearing this song a lot on the radio, and I honestly thought it was Eddie Montgomery singing this song because it sounded like him, but evidently I'm just wrong. I need to be paying attention to the chart, evidently. But a song called Done is #1, and it is a hit for Chris Janson and the songwriting team of Kristen Williams, Tom Martins, and Chris Janson with that team having a #1 song for Done. That's a good song.
Yeah, I know the songwriters, actually. A couple of them, actually. There was Mitch Oglesby, Jamie Paulin. He's actually a UMG writer. And then there's Matt Roy, and then, of course, Chris. But back in the day when I told you earlier in the show that my friend Judy was a promoter from out Georgia. And she, booked Bryan for his first big concert. But she also introduced me to this kid named Mitchell Oglesby. And he's been up here playing on Broadway for years. But I remember meeting him as a young artist. But the biggest thing that impressed me about him is that even though he had artists all over him, I knew he was going to be a hit writer. That's how he makes his living, is writing songs. But he's so good. But, him and he and Luke come from the same part of Georgia. And, of course, Jamie Paulin actually mentors one of my writers. So very happy about that. And don't forget, I want to see if you can answer my trivia question.
All right. What is, I didn't know we were having a trivia question this week, so fire away. I want to know.
Okay. Let me see if I can remember this right. What does Garth Brooks, Alan Jackson, Martina McBride, Faith Hill, Tim McGraw, Trace Atkins, Hillary Lindsey from Lady A all have in common?
You have to repeat that list again.
Okay. Alan Jackson, Trace Atkins, Garth Brooks, who did I say? Tim McGraw, Faith Hill, Martina McBride, and Hillary Lindsey from Lady A.
What do they all have in common is the trivia question.
Well, they all have 3 daughters. Everybody had all girls.
Now,
that's
a darn good trivia question.
Right. Well, see, I interned in the building. There were Rhonda Atkins, Trace's first wife was, and they had 3 girls together. He had 2 girls from a previous marriage. But yeah, Tim McGraw had 3 girls. Faith, and of course him together had the 3 girls. Martina McBride had 3 girls. Garth Brooks had 3 girls. Alan Jackson had 3 girls. And I think Trace's last little girl was named Trinity, Trace Atkins. So they all had, of course, Lady A had a little girl. Then she had twin girls, or Hillary did. So, yeah, and I got to thinking, I'm like, man, that's a lot of girls.
Man, and that was the third of a group of 3 boys. I'm a little bit jealous with all those groups of 3 daughters. Isn't that crazy how that works out? That people often have sets of 3 of one or the other. And I think your parents were smart enough to kind of sprinkle it up and have boys and girls. 2 and 2?
And, Josh Turner has 2 boys. Luke has 2 boys. Of course, he adopted his nephew after the death of his mother, which was Luke's sister. But yeah, we were lucky. My mother, she didn't have any kids for 5 years, and she had like 4 and 5. But we're super close, super close. Matter of fact, we're so close. My sister actually got one of her organs about 33 years ago.
And
So,
we're not talking about the organ you can play on.
so a kidney organ. But I used to tease her when she was little, like, "Ooh, you were an accident. You were an accident." And she goes, "Yeah, who's an accident now?" I
Yeah,
said, "Okay." It was meant for her to be born, because
that's
she was a surprise. But it was, we grew up, and I remember one of my favorite memories. I'll tell this, and I'll let you go. We came to move from Louisville, Kentucky, to the country, by Mammoth Cave in Kentucky, and we learned how to use paper wads and rubber bands at school. We didn't do that in Louisville. Okay, just saying. So me and my sister had rode paper wads all day long with slobber at school, and I had a little Ziploc bag full. So when we get home, we're having a spitball tournament. So it was the girls against the boys. So I'm on one. Me and my sister Tisha's on one side of the bed. My brother Ken and Shannon's on the other. And Dad come in about 2 hours after school, and he's like, "Where's the kids?" She goes, "Mom goes, oh, I thought they were downstairs watching TV." And Dad said, "They're nowhere to be found." So he opens up the door in the bedroom, and we turn around and look, and every one of us looks like we've got the measles from the paper wads hitting us in the face. And then we all got in trouble, and he took all of our paper wads away. We So we only did it when we knew that Dad was going to be gone for the whole day.
your dad. He's a smart guy, I tell you. Precious, we thank you very much. Always wonderful to catch up with you, and always go to NashvilleMusicLine.com to learn more about what's going on Music Row, courtesy of our Music Row insider, Preshias Harris. Thank you. We'll chat with you again next week.
Yeah, hopefully you'll be here next week. I'm hoping.
Yeah, I hope so. Hope so.
All
Well,
right, have a good day, everybody.
that is the plan for yours truly to get back on Music Row. It's been way too long.
I got your office set up as soon as you get here.
Can't wait. Go ahead and plug it in. All right, Precious, thank you very much. And that will wrap up our conversation with Precious right here on the Y'all Show. And we appreciate y'all being along for the ride. More of the Y'all Show will continue after this.